have Hassana Maina in the studio. She was the coordinator for the North Normal, standstill rally in a few parts of the North, and she's also being part of the Arewa Me Too movement. We're talking of the air about, why she's doing this. And let me just ask you that directly. Why are you doing this? Why did you decide to take it on you to push for this, to speak out, and get women to be vocal and things like that? Why?
Wow.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
Right.
I'm fascinated by
Exactly.
why you got
Because
involved with this.
Yeah, it gets you thinking, why do we do the things we do? Maybe because people you care about are hurt every day, and maybe because you care about people that are not even yet born, people that you would bring into the world. I was in year one in the university, and we were all sitting down, and we were all talking about how girls talk, and it was about rape and sexual assault, and we were about 8 girls in that room, and everyone has a story, right? So it's like, and if you would talk to older women, the same sort of story, like you would hear them talk about these things, and it's like, just shush it up, like just carry your shame. And I wonder why the shame is on you. It just didn't look fair, it just didn't seem fair to me. So I just believe in breaking it, because I don't know how the world is continuing when these things happen. I mean, this is a call for, there should be a call for alarm. I mean, like, things like this shouldn't continue, and then we live normally.
And then we just continue
Right.
like everything is okay. I was asking about the support of women earlier. Let me ask you about the support of men. Have you had men support the Arewa Me Too movement?
I've had amazing men. I have amazing men in my team. I have Alhaji Modu. He has been working tirelessly. I mean, we have, like, when I made the call on Twitter, we only had 3 women. Every other person was a man. And there was a time we were having tea, and we were all talking, and I'm like, why are you guys doing this? And they told me, because we're going to have daughters, because we have sisters, and we can only imagine if these things happen to them, right? And it got me thinking, this is not a war against men. This is a war against a menace, and anybody can do that, right? Anybody can perpetrate that evil, and that's why I particularly love the VAP Act, because it talks about Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. I was in a conversation with my sister Esther Evon, and we were talking about the VAP Act, and she was telling me, do you know that a man cannot be raped in Nigeria? And I'm like, yes, that is why we're trying to see how we can get.
I mean, thankfully that will stop very soon because of a bill introduced by Senator Remi Tinubu on rape against men.
I mean,
so,
even
and
if you
it's
look at
gone past first
right.
reading. So
if you look at the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, it says anybody. So I mean, men can be raped, and that's at first. But it's like we're in this point as a nation, and we're just having these conversations. I feel it's a little bit too late, but at least we're starting, which I think
which is
good.
important.
Right.
Talking about men, does this your movement also encapsulate men, right? You're also advocating for young boys and young girls, because I mean, there was an incident, recently about boys who have been, sodomized and things like that. So does the movement capture that as well, or is it just focused on women alone?
No, the movement captures everyone, because I want people to understand that when someone rapes, it's not about pleasure. I always want to make that clear. It's about power, yeah? And then you can only assert power on someone that you feel is less than you. So someone that is vulnerable, someone that is sick, that is women, because there's this assumption that women are the weaker sex, which annoys me, by the way. Women.
It's another conversation.
Right. Young boys, yeah, because in Sokoto we heard of a malam that was sodomizing young boys and even giving them out, renting them out like chattels, right? So with respect to violence of any form, is about asserting power, is about at the end of the day, the bottom line is power. Yeah, so
Basically.
Every other person that is powerless, we are trying to see how we can get that person protected, and that should be the duty of the state.
Which is why you're trying to get states to
yeah,
domesticate
right.
the VAP Act.
Right.
I've told you that the people have raised concerns about, sometimes, this is just also vindictive and it's clout chasing. It's not like they even have proof or evidence against the people that they accuse. They're just going out to tarnish people's reputation. There's a particular man who was accused here, I'm not going to mention his name, and he was talking about how, you cannot have a trial for somebody on social media because all you do is tarnish his image, and, accusations like that can lead to somebody losing their jobs and stuff like that. How do you verify, when people tell you their story, that the story is actually true? And someone innocent is not caught up in it.
First is first. I think it is very wrong that we have a time limit for when someone should
voice
out, because rape, like murder, is a life-changing event. It's a fast killer. I personally do not necessarily believe in social media trial, but at the same time I think it is very important that people speak out. And before we vilify social media trial, we have to ask, why do people speak out on social media? It's because social media is giving them the avenue that real life doesn't give them. Yeah, you go to the police station to report a case of rape and someone is asking you what you're wearing. I personally took a young girl that was raped, that has been consistently raped by her uncle, who is a doctor in the university, and she's 13. She was 13 at that point. I think right now she's about 15 and all, or 14 thereabout. And the policeman told me categorically that this man is her boyfriend. That even if she's 10, that there's an exchange, that he's giving her gifts and then she's giving him her body. So
a policeman said that.
Right, yeah. So when you talk about things like this, then you have to clarify what is rape and what does the ordinary man on the street understand by rape. I feel we need a whole lot of education, we need a whole lot of awareness, but most importantly we need people to speak out in whatever form. But when you speak out, that is why I say sometimes I have a problem with social media trial, you have to be willing to defend it. Right? So if there's something we say in law, he who comes to equity must come with a clean hands. So if you are going to accuse someone of rape, you should be able to stand by it, you should be able to defend it, because at the end of the day, committing rape is really wrong, but accusing someone of rape that he did not commit, I think is also very vile.
Very, very vile. The issue of, because I was reading through an article about the Me Too movement, and of course abroad, and there were women who had concerns about people coming out to accuse men that they know, so your husband, who is such a wonderful person, or your brother, or your father, or your uncle that have been good people, at least to you. And then, some of those women were raising concerns about people just coming out of the blues to accuse them of rape or sexual assaults. And they're saying, it will be hard for me. They say, do not you believe the victims, but it will be hard for me to believe a victim over somebody that I have known and I know what kind of a person he is. At least to women around me and to me, it will be hard for me to believe a total stranger or even somebody that is a family member over it, or a friend, whoever, over this person, especially when there is no proof. So for them, that is a bit scary for the Me Too movement, because there are women who have seen it as an avenue to just accuse people falsely. Have you ever feared that somebody can be accused of this? A friend, a brother, an uncle, a cousin, a father that can be accused of this, and these people.
We live in a very terrible world. We live in a world where people seek to destroy you, whether politically or socially. And I'm the only girl. I have two amazing brothers, and I've grown with them, and I have seen how we were raised. Yeah, we're not raised to believe in violence. we have an amazing father that made sure that there is power in conversation. So sometimes I wonder how would
you
react,
take it if somebody came to
if someone wakes up one morning and say this person has committed rape. That is why I think I ended that conversation with, you should be able to defend it. Yeah, because sometimes naturally my my sympathy is towards women because of sexism. There's an effect of sexism. Yeah, women have gone through so much. So when I see a woman speaking out, I naturally want to cover her. I want to wrap around with my wrapper, right? But I also want you to be able to defend it. I just finished my law degree, as I said earlier. So I want to be able to work with proof. I don't want to be your lawyer and I'm in court and you are ridiculing me. Yeah, I don't want to go and stand for you and say you did this and then your statement is inconsistent. Yeah, you have to be able.
So you're saying that when victims come to you, because I mean, if you're pushing the Arewa movement, that means that you probably have women talking to you and telling their stories. And do you go as far as asking them for proof or to, if they have anything to back up the accusation?
Right. I think I have had a lot of people, of women in my DMs telling me this person has done that person, and I think what they wanted me to do was to screen grab and post.
And then go out and post and then accuse a person.
I first asked for their phone numbers because I want to talk to you on phone, and some of them give, some of them stop replying me from there, and then from there I talk to you on phone and I ask you, so who is this person? How did it happen? And you start to ask questions, and sometimes you tend to realize that it's either that person is being vindictive or that it didn't even happen at all. And when you tell them, okay, are you willing to pursue this, and they tell you no, so I think at that point I just give you my love and support, but I don't think I'm going to be used to
push a story against somebody.
To push a story that I cannot personally defend.
But talking about it, it's a bit hard, also to defend, because it's a very, very thin line you're walking. Because there are people who might not want to come out to confront, but especially if the person is a powerful person, or they're looking at the culture, they're looking at the stigma that's attached to it, they're looking at their family that they might not get the support. So sometimes when the victims come out to present this to you and say this is what happened, and they're not ready to come and defend me personally, like go to court and be a witness, how do you now separate it from when the person is telling the truth? How do you know? Because then there are people like that who are like, what, this is happening. So does it just die a natural death?
I think the most important thing is conversation. Yeah, I believe in speaking out. I believe in conversations. With Khadija Adamu, the person that spoke about the first person that spoke about. I'm always in conversation with her, and then she tells me how she still has dreams that this person is going to come and kill her, and all of that. And at the end of the day, when I ask her, so how do you feel after this? And she tells me, well, Hassana, I feel better. So I think what we should do is to break that culture of shame and silence. There should not be time limit for when someone should come out, yeah? But I think, and I also do not understand why it's left in the victim's hand to pursue cases like rape, right? Because it's a criminal offense, and if the state cares about women's body, then it should be cases that the police should pursue. Like, it should not be like, it's like murder, yeah? You cannot tell me you have forgiven the person that has killed someone. The person took someone's life. So you're taking away my life because, you're taking away something from me, right? Yes. So you cannot tell me to, the power of forgiveness is not in my hands. You have offended.
I can forgive, but state can still persecute.
Right. You have offended the state because I'm a property of the state, and you're taking something from me. That means you're taking something from the state, right? So I feel we need to have more institutions in place. NAPTIP is doing an amazing job, but we also need to sensitize the police. We need to have and the courts. We need to have more systems in place to make sure that these cases are pursued to their logical conclusion and not left in the prerogative of victims to say whether they forgive or in the hands of family members.
I mean, they can forgive, but the state should still pursue what they need to pursue.
Right.
You know.
And I feel that some offenses that are unforgivable, like rape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know. So I want to ask you this.
Right.
I mean, you're a young woman. You're courageous enough to decide that this is what you want to do. Have you received threats? Have you received people coming at you over this matter?
Yeah, when it started, I didn't want to share these concerns with people because I didn't want people to be scared for me because I wasn't scared. I was at home and we were on strike, and that was when I took this up. And someone called my friend and with a no number and told my friend that they should tell me that person when they allowed they tell him story. Now, funny, wow. I wasn't scared. I think I was angry that people would consider killing you because I mean, to me, I felt the person was just talking anyways. But it's like, okay, is that really a problem that someone is speaking out? So it got me, I think it gave me better understanding of what I was dealing with at that moment, and I'm like, game on, bring it on.
So you're like, well, I mean, you can't scare me. I'm going to do what I have to do.
I'm a gangster.
Wow. I mean, kudos to you. I mean, the Arewa movement has picked up a lot of steam. I don't think there's a day that goes by on Twitter that, this is not talked about, that something is not said about, Arewa Street and all that. There are people who think that, you're just trying to paint the culture in a bad light, trying to paint the North in a bad light, and that, you're making people from the North look like they are, not good people. I mean, you're Northerners, so I definitely have to ask you how you feel about that.
I understand, but there's this thing with perception, I think most of the time people feel because of perception. During the whole Sokoto thing,
yes.
I was in the group chat, and then the one person that decided to engage me, told me, we do not have cases of violence in Sokoto, and I have traveled all through Sokoto. And I told him, well, I have DM from Sokoto women telling me that this has happened.
But it's not categorically that it has never happened in Sokoto.
Yeah, he said we don't
That's
have. And he told me, well, if that's the case, then it is of a minimal. It is of the barest minimum. And I'm like, you cannot speak for victims, first, and secondly, maybe victims don't talk to you because of the kind of person you are. And then he concluded by saying, so that means I'm telling the world, come and see, we have a problem. And I'm like, okay, now this at this point, that's the end of the conversation. But then I had to have a personal reflection. And I was thinking, we need to break this culture of shame and silence, because who benefits from it at the end of the day? As I said earlier, the perpetrators. And then the victims are left to fend for themselves, mentally, even physically, right? So at what cost is perception? What do we have to sacrifice to give people an image? What is the point of an image? Right? So let people think whatever they want to think, but then there is real work to be done, and we're bent ready to do it.
To do the work.
Right.